This is the story of William Sylvester Turner, a cooper from Golconda, Illinois. He answered the call of duty at the onset of the Civil War. Grave number 10988 tells a story of bravery and sacrifices. Turner joined the Army and faced the harrowing realities of war. He was in several battles before the brutal clash at Bryce's Crossroads in June 1864. There he fought valiantly against the infamous Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest and his cavalry. The intensity of this battle led to hand-to-hand combat, where soldiers resorted to using pistols, knives, and even their rifles as clubs in a desperate struggle for survival. It was a long and confusing battle. At times, the Northern Army fired on their own troops. Turner was out of ammunition, and he was ultimately wounded and fell to the ground. The aftermath of this bloody encounter led to the defeat of Union forces, with General Forrest ordering the survivors to be sent to the notorious Andersonville prison in Georgia. The surviving soldiers were loaded onto a train heading to Andersonville. Turner asked a guard about his wound. The guard just laughed and replied, "You're going to Andersonville, Yankee. You'll be dead in a month or so. There ain't no need for y'all to see a doctor." There were not enough boxcars to accommodate the 400 prisoners, so they were packed in like cattle. The ride lasted 3 days, traveling from Mississippi into Georgia. Some of the men died during the trip. Their bodies lay among the living in the hot, crowded boxcars. The stench was so bad that the rebel guards riding outside in the open air were complaining about it. When they arrived at Andersonville, the Confederates showed very little sympathy for the prisoners' misery. As they were getting out of cattle cars, the rebels made them remove their shoes and coats. If they resisted, they were severely beaten. In June 1864, Andersonville consisted of 26 acres, with 25,000 prisoners struggling to survive. The stockade was enclosed with a 17-foot-high wall. A Confederate officer greeted them when they entered the gates. He said, "Welcome to Andersonville, Yankees. My name is Captain Wers. While you are here, you will obey my rules or suffer the consequences." Turner and a friend put their blankets together and made a shelter called a shebang. They discussed how they were going to survive in this hellhole. Turner finally got to go see a visiting doctor. The doctor looked at the exposed wound and said, "I'm afraid the wound is infected." He said he didn't have any medication, so all he could do is clean it up and put a clean bandage on it. Turner thought about the dreaded gangrene running rampant in the prison. On his way back to his shebang, he passed a prisoner with gangrene in his leg. The wound was full of pus and maggots. It was a sickening sight, but no one could help him. The days turned into weeks as the hot Georgia sun made life even more miserable for the suffering prisoners. Making things even worse was a renegade gang called the Raiders. They were beating, robbing, and sometimes killing the more weaker prisoners for their belongings. Captain Wers finally had enough and decided to put an end to the Raiders. He let the prisoners hold their own court and decide on how to punish the Raiders. The prisoners held a trial for 50 of the Raiders. The 6 ringleaders were sentenced to die on the gallows. The other Raiders were returned to the stockade and suffered various forms of punishment. It wasn't long until Turner's injured arm was turning black and the hole where the musket ball entered was as large as a silver dollar. Pockets of pus were developing all over the arm and the pain was unbearable. He would lay down and visualize his wife Eleanor and the children back home. His favorite song, Amazing Grace, drifted through the night air. The next morning, Turner was allowed to go see the doctor again. It was the same doctor he saw a few months earlier. The doctor told him that he looked familiar. Turner told him that the last time they met he was about 50 pounds heavier. The doctor checked Turner's arm and told him that it was gangrene in the advanced stages. The doctor said that he was going to send him to the field hospital. Then he was honest with him about the conditions of the hospital. He told him that his chances of survival there were next to none. Turner replied, "I know I'm going to die here. It's just a matter of when." The field hospital was nothing more than a bunch of canvas tarps held up by poles. The space was filled with flies and the smell of death was everywhere. A man with a white shirt approached Turner, and when he saw his arm, he said, "Almost everyone in here has gangrene. Just find an empty bed and lay down." Turner laid down, and the man next to him told him that the people running this place aren't really doctors. They are trustees who volunteered for this duty to stay out of the stockade. He told Turner that when someone dies, they steal whatever they can from them. The Confederates don't care if we live or die, so they let them get away with it. Turner lay there for a week, his health deteriorating faster with each day. Blood-curdling screams were a routine part of each day. A pile of body limbs were stacked not far from where Turner laid. He could see someone removing them with a wheelbarrow. While he was sleeping, he was awakened by two trustees searching through his pockets for valuables. He fought them off. They just laughed and told him, "Call us when you want. You're a dead man anyway." The next day, a real doctor approached Turner. He told him that he would be removing his infected arm tomorrow morning. Turner was too weak to ask any questions. The following morning, he wakes up laying on a table with the two trustees who tried to rob him and the doctor he met the previous day. He wanted to tell the doctor not to leave him alone with these two thieves, but he was just too weak to speak. The doctor gave the trustees instructions on where to cut his arm off, and then he walked away. Turner passed out, but was painfully awakened by the sharp blade of a knife slicing into his flesh at the shoulder. He screamed out in pain and began kicking his legs. The trustees grabbed his legs and held him down. They were laughing at Turner's suffering. He felt like his body was being torn apart. He wanted to die to stop the pain. He heard one of the trustees shouting at the other one to hurry up and chop it off. The pain turned into a snap that vibrated through his body. He heard a voice say, "Here, toss this in that pile." Turner's arm was gone. The arm of the cooper that had made so many wooden barrels was now piled on a stack of decaying body parts. Turner was close to death now. One of the trustees said, "What was it the doctor said about cauterize?" The other one replied, "Oh yeah, we were supposed to do something like that to keep him from bleeding to death." They both smirked and said, "Oh well, it's too late now." Turner's heartbeat became slower as his blood drained onto the ground. He gave one last gasping deep breath and released his soul from what was left of his tormented body. William Sylvester Turner was buried along with the other 13,000 Union soldiers who perished there during the Civil War. His grave number is 10,988. This is a page from the Book of the Dead at Andersonville. Turner's name is identified by the arrow. Here is a copy of William Sylvester Turner's enlistment form. It shows his age, height, color of eyes and hair, and his occupation as a cooper. This is the casualty sheet from Andersonville. The cause of death is listed as gangrene. Turner's wife Eleanor requested widow's pension payments. She was only entitled to $8 a month retroactive to October 16, 1865, the date of his death. Their 3 children's birth dates are listed. Today, Andersonville is a historic site with a museum dedicated to all who died there during the Civil War. If you appreciated this video about my great-great-grandfather, William Sylvester Turner, please click the like button and subscribe for more content that brings history to life. We invite you to leave a comment with your insights or questions. Thank you for watching.